Farming and Progress.
Four of you that. First time since we read the paper, that you're running off four of you out of the room. Sure, okay. We do appreciate that, so. Thank you. You're welcome. So our first item on the agenda, the consent agenda includes the water and sewer termination requests. The approval of the July 10th. And the July 17th special meeting minutes.
We had one, condition request.
Yes. You hear about your water bill, you say, right? Wow.
Oh, okay, no. I'm here about my water bill. Do I need to come up or just?
You're fine to stay right there.
So my name's Emily Shaw, 1008 State Street. I just had some unexpected medical issues come up this month. I am on disability. I usually get my disability check on the 29th, so I can pay my water bill on that date.
Can handle this administratively, Mayor. So come see the city clerk's office tomorrow, make a payment arrangement, and I'll take you, I'll sign up on it.
Okay.
Thank you, Wendy, appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Councilor Renard has made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Councilor Scritchfield has seconded that motion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda has been approved. Next item on the agenda, petitions and delegations. For all citizen comments, please state your full name and whether you're an Ellsworth City resident. All citizen comments are limited to 5 minutes per subject unless the city council has further questions. Is there anybody who would like to speak? Come on up, Joe.
Good afternoon, good evening, John Hopkins, not resident of Ellsworth, but I do work for Michael here in town. I wanted to just speak for a moment while the city is discussing budgets for the coming year. For a number of years now, the businesses around where my business is at has been requesting to get the alley behind our place repaved. The city has patched it a number of years ago with some asphalt. In a concrete alleyways, with that asphalt breaking out through rain and winter efforts, and it's getting quite a few potholes in it, starting to crumble apart even more. So I just wanted to request the city consider that during the budget discussions. I didn't hit on anybody's wish list from city departments or anything like that, but I don't want to get forgotten. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Anybody else who'd like petition and delegations to speak? No one? All right. Moving right along, unfinished business. So we'll begin the budget workshop with city council and city staff. That is agenda item report 23-239. And Dustin, if you could take it away for us, please.
Sure, I just wanted to get us together to discuss what the general fund is, and I wanted to first thank Callie and Angela for assisting me, along with all the department heads. They've all assisted me in putting this together. I've had meetings with each one of them. I'm a little behind the schedule that I wanted to be. I will be more on par next year. I've been rebuilding my budget template to do what I want it to do, so that's taken me a little time. But first off, I wanted to give all the department heads and Callie and Angela thanks. The couple of things that John started last year with the budget, it was discovered, correct me if I'm wrong, Callie, that we were using a lot of water sewer funds to supplement other departments and their projects. And one of the things that John put a stop to that I'm going to continue, just because it's GASB rules, enterprise fund remains self-sustaining, and therefore the downside to not doing that anymore is it kind of exposes the budget shortfalls that we were covering down for with the other departments. And so that's kind of reflective in this year's numbers. On the staff, I do have a number of funds that I'll be working with Angela on to see if I can fund their projects, various project requests through our municipal. We've been stashing cash away for municipal and equipment and things of that nature. Once we fully reconcile with the council, know where I stand, and I can help supplement each individual department's budget requests that way. But with the current standing, just so you know, the philosophy that I follow is I undervalue or I I operate, when I build the budget, I operate with making my revenues lower than usual. So that if, and then, put the wish list on the high end. I would much rather underestimate the, revenues on purpose. So that I don't end up we don't end up busting budgets. So it does probably inflate the shortage that we have, but I'd much rather approach it that way. To the staff's credit, they have helped me cut 400,000 from our wish list, because when I first built the general fund, I threw all the wish list items in there, and pretty much we had to remove those. A couple of things that we would like to continue with. The KPNF is one of the high budget items that I think is very important. It's investing in our staff. The other one that a lot of you have told me individually is the electrical downtown. So those are the two big ticket items that I think are hills to die on, so to speak, to borrow chief's phrases. But those are the two. The other stuff, I believe I can supplement with grants and various other funding maneuvers that Callie has graciously agreed to help me grant write. So we're gonna be going after a lot of various funds this year. The 2019 temp note will continue to fund the projects as it has been. I'm also interested in pursuing another bond issue next year to help us offset a lot of these big ticket items and grant funding that we need and things of that nature. But that's kind of the overlying synopsis of how I mentally approach the budget this year, just to protect our assets, but also give you a reality of what the staff and we have been working through. So even with the max amount of 80.95, we still have a budget shortfall of 270. I can find that 270. I've got a budget option. I've got a budget sitting on my computer here that where I went through everybody's fund to slash stuff that I could without bankrupting us. But it's just right now, that's where the budget shortfall is, because we're no longer pulling from water sewer. But it's not a bad thing. I think it's a good starting point, because then it will allow it allows us to look at where we can also come up with revenue funding sources for the future. And, it's a more realistic picture of where we're at. So I just wanted to get us together to let you know where I'm at. I think that the general fund's my biggest challenge. I think the others are pretty much well funded, minus 2019 temp note. We're just making sure that's, we're working with the auditor on that one. That was a big concern of ours, because we do have to adhere to whatever the bond companies, the way they want us to invest it, and the way your resolutions have told us to invest it. So we're making sure we're in line with that. Other than that, the library, after going through that with Callie and Angela, the library is the only other one that we've got reconciled, which we agreed to 138,000, which is 6,000 short of their original request. That also includes 35,000 to stick into the 35,000 that we gave to economic development last year. And then there's the other areas, and KPNF's the other big ticket item that I think that we need to keep our investment in our people first, equipment second. It's kind of my preference, my recommendation. Thank you. And then, of course, the bragging I was doing in the narrative. I tried to make it a little more aesthetic, and there's a lot of people. I'm blessed to work here. Every department head I work with has been wonderful to work with. The current initiatives that I've been pushing, housing is a big one, a big feedback that I get from all of our major employers. The way I've been approaching that is, first I wanted to know exactly where our housing stock was. So with the hat, thanks to Delvin, I've tasked him with finishing it. We're almost done uploading it. Delvin, you can still get it done by the end of this week.
Yeah.
And what that'll do for us is give us access to CDBG grants, so I can continue to fund his side of the house and continue to get these properties mitigated and back on the market, so that families and investors can invest in us. But a lot of investors will not invest in a city if we're not cleaning up these properties and At least according to what Keegan Bailey's telling me at the North Central Regional Planning Commission. So I really, in response to the feedback I've got from companies, that's what I'm doing. That's also what's behind my code enforcement actions. I've been putting a lot more emphasis on that by shifting Delvin and Steve to that particular task. We're cleaning that, but that's not just including cleaning up properties. That's also resolving a lot of the discrepancies between what our maps say and what is reality. There's multiple streets that people have just taken over, and we have a choice whether to force them to move or we can vacate it. So that's some of the things I've brought before council over the last year. That's due to Delvin and Steve's work and Melissa's. And so a lot, clearing up a lot of these discrepancies on the map will help me sell this to investors as well. Just making the map match what is in our books. Infrastructure is the second big priority. Some of the things that I'm proposing over the next couple of years is just shifting department responsibilities. If you decide to go along with the rec commission, I am gonna put pet and park maintenance under the rec commission's belt as part of what I'm working with him on. Giving him some park technicians so that he doesn't, because what's happening right now is whenever he needs a project, we usually, and I love the team environment, but it also pulls people away from what they're doing. Like, for example, build a soccer field, or for example, to, do some ditch maintenance or something like that. We usually have to pull a streets person or a water person to do that when they've got their own duties. If he has his own parks guys that are already trained in that sort of stuff, all he has to do is say, hey, you go there. And then we can still do the team environment, but he doesn't have to pull resources away from other departments. So just little strategic things I can do without spending too much cash, to try to restructure ourselves so we can more efficiently. But all this supports the infrastructure thing, because here's the benefit. Troy and the crew that I'm building around him can focus on street maintenance. Because right now, Troy's department's responsible for street maintenance, drain maintenance, and all of the drains around the city, along with cemeteries and along with parks. And to me, that's just, it seems inefficient use of our resources and its time, and while our streets are falling apart. And so it'd just be nice to have a group of guys who are devoted to streets and drain maintenance. So that's some of the things I would like to do over the next couple of years to maximize our investment without spending too much at the same time, is shifting resources around. And the third thing is strategic planning. I'm a huge proponent of that. I'd much rather prepare us for the long term as opposed to the short term. That's I'm really trying to recommend to both council and your planning commission is to update our comprehensive plan, which hasn't been done since 2010. And that's basically you telling me, Dustin, where are we going from here? It's about $100,000 to $200,000 on the expensive end of the comp plan, but I can get grants for that. And what that'll do is that basically hire somebody else to come in, do a complete comprehensive study of our infrastructure, where things are at. What we're already using Brian Foster for with our BG consultants. You hired him last year to examine our water sewer networks. They'll take that information, they'll take the demographic information, they'll compile it in a single plan like we did in 2010. And then it will be used to tell me exactly what to do if you choose to approve it. So to me, it's just a governing document that gives me some guidance and also gives me a chance to advertise elsewhere. Like, hey, companies, we got these areas here that council's approved for you to go to. Come by us, type of thing. That I can work with Stacy or whoever to make it happen. So just little things like that I'm recommending we do. And communication is the fourth pillar when I'm recommending based on feedback I've been getting. I just tortured Callie today with a new product through our website that allows a ticketing system. I've been talking about this for months. We're going to implement it tomorrow. It's basically where a constituent can go on our website and submit a complaint, and you get to select the category of your complaint. You can take pictures if you're angry about a yard, whatever. You can submit it, and then it'll automatically forward it to Delvin or whoever department manages that. And then I get to keep track of it through our ticket system. It'll assign it a ticket number. I can give a certain amount of time for that complaint to be responded to. And it's just little ways that we can improve our operational efficiency and hopefully save us time, money and heartache for y'all. So that the complaint gets handled before it has to escalate to you guys. I guess. So anyway, sorry, I can be long-winded, council. I put my son to sleep sometimes. So any questions? I got the staff here.
Do you want to let them go one at a time and dig deeper into it?
Sure, that's your call.
We did that last year, seemed to work extremely well. Maybe we have a fly zapper on the. Probably need one. We go like three of them buzzing around. So, Chief, you want to go first?
Absolutely. So as my budget was presented to Mr. Stanbaugh, my initial proposal was 964. I see what he's got in the packets, 873. So if you recall back to our wish list, whatever you want to call it, the three items we wanted, the things we were proposing was the switch over from Capers to KPNF retirement, and then remodel and a vehicle, change out vehicle, for the police department. One of the things that I expressed to Mr. Stanbaugh, as I understood initially, our budget was, we were 600 some thousand over initially, and we started cutting into some stuff that he has talked about. My staff, including myself, are fully prepared to don't fund a dime again to the remodel, don't fund a dime again to a vehicle in order to hopefully pass the KPNF. Not only for our benefit, because that will certainly benefit our current staff, but I think it will help retain our current staff. So will help recruit new staff, but it also benefit the police department now until they decide to do away with this, hopefully never, right? It's something that will benefit them more than a new car every couple of years, or, you know, the remodel. And it's as much as I think a new car is needed, and as nice as I think it would be to have the added security into our police department, this is something that will benefit our agency from now until the end of our agency. So it's very important to us. And again, without being naive, it does help us out financially too, right? I'm not denying that. But I think it's important to all of us that we're willing to give up everything in order to try to obtain that. I do see the big picture. If we are able to fund that specific line item in the police department and nothing else, and everybody else has to cut all their things too, then I could understand why there could be a little animosity amongst people, because we get an extra 64,000 and everybody else only got 5,000 or 6,000. I get that. I would just ask that, and I think the majority of them would and understand that it's not, yes, it is for our benefit, but it's for our benefit as the police department forever. So,
Before I forget, let me
Yes,
just
sir.
ask you a question.
yes, sir.
Would the police department, I don't know, from a county standpoint, would they be willing to give up their, if there was a raise this year, would they be willing to give it up?
So I've considered that, right? I've kicked that idea around over the weekend, talking with Mr. Stanbaugh. And in our budget, we proposed a 5%. And again, not being naive, we understand not every employee may get up to 5%, right? But you got to budget for it, because if everybody does get it, you don't have it, then well, no one you have the money to pay them. So I did kick that idea around a little bit, because that was increase in mine for about $37,000, right? So that would offset the lion's share of, well over 2/3 of the offset for KPNF. I have not shared that with them, but I did consider that this weekend. I know for me personally, I would, right? Without really wanting to speak for them, I think they would too, because it's still, the best way to a man's heart is to his chest, right? So best way to make an employee happy is give them more money and give them adequate other items, right? I think that if we were to obtain the KPNF in lieu of raises within the police department this year, it still shows that we understand we're taking this step. These are, some of the concessions we're willing to take, right? It's kind of a barter. My only thing with that would be is I don't think it'd be fair to Deanne in that sense for her specifically, because she's not eligible for gate, right? Because she's not a commissioned officer, right? First responder in the sense per statute. It's certainly something I can propose to them. Again, it's something I've definitely kicked around this idea in my own head. I also didn't have the heart to ask him about it today. I kind of wanted to see what everybody's feeling was.
Sure.
And even check the pulse, is this even a possibility?
Right,
You know, as Mr. Stanbaugh did indicate, this is a hill I am definitely willing to die on.
right.
You know, I don't,
Which one of the ambulance would you take me up again?
roughly 65,000 additional.
Is that per year?
Yes, it'll always be that now. I mean, yes,
So in-
so whatever so I went from
40,000 to 95, so
That works
45, 50 to 95.
average 44, because this year was lower because we lost Kenny, so we paid in a lot less, significantly less. So we were averaging right around $45,000 a year, and I bumped it up to 95,000. And every year it's gonna, whatever our, if you approve it, and in 24, you, in 25, if you approve a 5% increase in wages, then in essence, that will go up. Whatever our raises, as it would even if it was capers, right? You always have to offset that, whatever you, because it's based off the percentage of your salary. So it will always go up. Whatever your salaries go up. Obviously, it's not gonna go up $64,000 every year. But as I indicated, if you recall when we spoke, once you go to this, there is no going back. So if we decide, yes, we want to do this, as grateful as we were in 2 years, we decide this is too much, you can't go back. And I want that to be very well known that much as I don't want that information to be out there, I want you to be fully aware that it is a, once you're there, you're there. Oh, it's a big, it's gonna get, I'm willing to, and he still plugs some money into our capital improvement, stuff like that, and I'm willing to zero those things out, but. And the other things that I upped in my lines, you know, just real briefly, well, I got it right here, fine. So the 5% increase in salary for every, you know, we did increase insurance 10% as an estimated number, just because you've got to go something. The big increase for the KPNF, and then computer services went up substantially, especially within the police department, because we changed our IT services. And within the police department, we do manage the most computers because of our desktops and our laptops and all the security that types for these to be offsite, but still be able to do the things we do. And then, if you remember a couple of years ago, I did the extended warranty on the Durango. Wanted to do the extended warranty on the 19 Ram at the end of that year. If we had the money, I didn't feel like we did last year, so I didn't bring it back to you. So you're tight. I know we don't have the money this year because of all the IT stuff. So I did ask for an additional $8,000 just specifically in my vehicle maintenance, because I still want to do that extended warranty on the 19 Ram that expired last year. And my warranty does go out at the end of August on my 20 Ram for next year, because again, if we're continuing to punt the vehicles down the line, we need to somehow CYA on the backside of the extended warranties, because we don't have the money to purchase a new car. Even if we had to purchase an engine for one, there's still $15,000-$20,000, depending on parts and labor and all that stuff. So those are the main things that I couldn't cut out of my budget, because there was, to me, an articulable reason why those line items increased. The other ones were my equipment, capital outlay, stuff like that, but I'm willing to negate in lieu of negating that, you know, obviously pending your approval. But I just certainly pose that question to my staff is, if again, I think so, but for me, yes.
Right.
I would be willing to make that known right now that I would be able to raise in order to,
It's valuable.
yes.
I will also submit whatever my amount is, it's not much, but I would be willing to put a time raise.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. But, Callie, what about from an accounting standpoint? Easy to do. They don't get a raise, the end gets what I mean.
Okay.
Just a calculation.
Payroll wise,
Right, pretty, okay.
Yeah.
I just asked because, Chief, do you have anything else? Or
No, sir, that's it. Unless anybody else have any other questions for me.
For Chief?
I know it's a big ask, and I get that it is, and it's a big commitment. It's a
Yeah.
forever deal, but I also say that it does affect us positively for, you know, and as I said before, I don't expect Ellsworth Police Department to be able to compete with wages, but we should be able to compete with benefits.
Sure.
So
That's important. Well, let me ask you a question, Dustin. I mean, we didn't really think about this when we built the agenda. This budget portion is gonna take a long time to go through everybody. We got Dina and Gina.
Yep,
Do we want to get them pivot to the rec commission, 10 minutes, let them go, and then come rush to the budget?
my suggestion is, this is just an introduction there, and I was trying to avoid special meetings, but as the staff has educated me on, maybe it would be better just to schedule one more session. Cause I do have to get this in, I've already scheduled, as approved last week, I've already scheduled the hearing for the 28th of August. And so that puts me into overdrive, working with Angela and everybody this week to get it done, but it would be, I think it would be a good idea to schedule one more.
So maybe if we did one more department head, then did rec commission, would that?
Yes, and then we'll, if if council's willing, I'll do a special meeting here next week. Just to go through the budget one last time and have all the department heads here. Cause that's something the board would be willing to do.
I mean, is there gonna be a whole lot to this or no? I mean.
I'm probably the most longer.
Yeah.
We could knock these two out, I mean.
That's the last two that are here.
Right, and so we do the others that aren't here, is everybody okay with that? Yeah, sounds like the.
Here's a kind of, the time taking thing is gonna be figuring out where that extra $273,000 goes.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna continue to work with department heads to get that under.
Right,
So that's gonna be a great.
okay, be set up. All right, so Del, you wanna go next?
Yeah, mine's a short one.
Okay.
I'm creating a budget from nothing this year. So, I tried to budget what I thought you guys and Dustin would want included. The big expenditure probably is the 40,000 for the, opening houses. I didn't know how far you guys want to go with that. That'll be 4 houses. And, 3,500 for the CDBG, they have to do an environmental study, so we have to do that one. And everything else is,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
everything else is, up for debate. I mean, I'd say I'm just starting out, so.
And one idea I had with the proposals he has is they do, the city clerk's office shares a lot of expenses with Delvin, so I thought maybe just, boosting the city administration costs for, office supplies and postage, and then that would reduce a lot of those, line items.
Any questions for Delvin? No? All right, run it.
Yeah, I guess for me, my initial budget was 385. And then we made some cuts down to 295. And most of that was the capital outlay projects. What's more important to me is the everyday line items. And so the big kicker is, the salary line item that we agreed to with the increase in, lifeguard pay and certifications and things of that nature. So that's my biggest thing that, that we've we all agreed on as far as that goes to move forward. That's been a long time coming to make that happen. So I know, like with some of my projects, there might be some lost savings as far as our drainage and our parking issue out back here. When they start that project downtown with the road, I talked to Troy and, all those millings are gonna come to the city. So instead of, doing concrete driveway with my overhead doors, put in millings back there instead and we'll somehow get the county involved with their machinery because they got a vested interest out here as well. So, there could be some extra cost savings in that as well. So,
Is we on problem?
well, that's it.
We have anything more? All right, thanks, Del. Thanks, Ronnie. Appreciate it. Forgot about Stacy. Did you want to approach and speak about yours?
Not today.
Not today, another day?
I wasn't prepared for this. I can see you're looking at,
Correct, okay. I just saw you there.
I'll do the special one.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so if there are any more questions about the budget, we want to discuss and provide Dina with potential direction and see what you want to do about our recreation commission. We had a nice presentation, I'm gonna say 6 months ago. It's not been a year. The two gentlemen came in and really did a good job and explained the benefits of it. We are one of the rare areas that don't have it. It would, it would balance out our amount in the county and it would allow us to push recreational opportunities out into the county probably more. It would take some of the tax balance off of the city residents a little bit and spread it a little bit to the county. Better coordination between the schools and our rec department and everything else. It just seems like, you know, something we may want to consider, but there's labor involved. There would need to be a special election. You know, with an election and labor, there's work and who does the work and so on and so forth. And there's risk of putting all the effort into it and it doesn't work out. So there's a lot to consider here. And I think the school wanted to hear whether we would be willing to move forward so that they could go to their board and say, hey, city council's willing to do this. What do you think? And that's all we're talking about today.
Dina's been asking me, right, she's been pretty patient. I want to do at least honor her request, to have the discussion. It's something Ron's brought to my attention since the first couple of months I've been here. So I just wanted to get direction on, whether you would want us to do that. I tried to outline everything that was in the presentation in your agenda. Like the mayor said, the cost, the initial cost would be good, but I think long-term, and benefit, it would, the taxing district would be the school district's coverage area, which would be Canopolis. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, John, Dina, it would be Canopolis, Ellsworth and Geneseo. But it would also give new opportunities for us to use events and stuff. Ron could plan sports, I would root for a tournament or two. There is a lot of benefit. Anyway.
So if everybody can comment on what they think and what they remember and what questions they have, any opposition to it or? Jessica, what are your thoughts?
Feel like I need a quick refresher.
Okay.
Pros, cons. Quick list.
Yeah, so the primary object, all right. A rec commission, the pause, right now Ellsworth is covering the majority of costs for all of the recreation programs that are used by everyone in the district. And what the recreation district would do is, the taxing entity would switch from the city to, the school district. And then it would be a subunit that each board, I think Canopolis board, Geneseo board, and school board, and would all, depending on how you structure the agreement and what's approved by the voters, would approve a new unit, the governing subunit as a rec commission. And each board would have representation there. So council or the mayor would appoint and council would approve board members to there, as well as the school board, as well as each Canopolis, et cetera. And then they would manage whoever they hire as a rec director and the parks personnel. They would be responsible for generating revenue for the park system they oversee and the sports complexes and the maintenance of them and all of that stuff. And the advantage, and while it would be costly to set up, it would in the end reduce expenditure over the long haul because the taxing entity would be more equitable instead of just the city of Ellsworth carrying the brunt of that tax investment. It would be throughout the school district. Would be the footprint for the taxing entity. So that's, I think, the biggest benefit from the monetary standpoint, but there's also other things you can look at too. Facility maintenance and upgrades, they would be an independent unit. They would be an upgrade on their own. With the approval of their board and the school district, of course, you know, there would be revenue generating opportunities that would attract new people here, like sporting events. It would just increase our footprint for the Ellsworth County and the USD through each other.
And it would prevent that cross charging that we ran into with the travel ball. And if you ever get a private school and all that, it's all settled with the rec commission. It's not, we're gonna charge you this, and because you charge us this, we're gonna charge you this, all that ends, you know. So
Then does the responsibility to like, say, that, you know, Ron, his salary, did that go to the rec commission then?
Assuming they choose to hire Ron, yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
I don't want to, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just saying they would have to do an independent hiring process.
That's city budget.
That's correct.
As well as like full employees and everything too, or, yeah.
Sorry, Ron, I wasn't trying to be They would just have to go through the process of hiring you into that new board.
I mean, even though like a lot of those facilities, city-owned facilities, the city would still own them. It was just the rec commission would operate and maintain the facilities, so.
So the pool would be in the two.
Yes, I would assume so, yes.
And there would
But
have
if
to
the
be
city
an
wanted to
IGA.
run it, just take that off, I'd be fine with that too.
No, and that could provide more access to it. I mean, it gets really well used now, but it could still, it's not at capacity, is it? Every day, I mean, there's still.
Not every day, but there's some days it's
Yeah.
pretty busy,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Be nice to see it used every day.
And they would also increase, because of the taxing entity, they could also improve the stuff at their own rate, they could apply for their own grants. You know, as an independent sub-governing unit, it's easier to plan for stuff.
And you know, the one thing too is like for the school district, you know, the kicker for them is, you know, when they utilize our facilities that we wouldn't charge them to use them. Cause we're utilizing their tax base and all that. So, you know, that's a benefit to the school district.
Right.
For them,
Right,
but
you have the full Patrick, lawn maintenance, turf also that expertise, you know, that might not affect that because he would still be a city.
yeah,
But you'd
right.
certainly take that into consideration, you know, a certain amount of hours or whatever, you know, because.
But you know, your biggest thing is how you convince the voting public in the school district, what's the benefits of
Right,
doing this?
we got some people that are getting ready to dive into the political campaign, so they warmed up and ready to help us with that, and that's, yeah, that could be, we need. Some consultancy help with that, so it's a different type of election.
Well, and that's, I mean,
Yeah.
that, you know, those two colleagues I have within, you know, that came and visited us with us.
Right.
I mean, that's people I can reach out to and they've been there, done that.
Right.
So,
You tell us what to expect,
yeah.
what the negatives are, what people might be thinking, how do you tamp that down? So, Jessica, do you feel like you have enough information to want us to move forward, or?
So what are the negatives?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we wanna do this?
Well, it's a lot to take on. I mean, like you said, if you're gonna move forward with a vote, you're gonna put money towards that. And then if it votes no, then you're out of that, whatever cost to put on an election.
It's the initial set of probably, as you mentioned in the budget, it's the biggest challenge of enacting the system. But on the other hand, it also equalizes tax base would succeed. And I think if we explain it in that way, that right now the citizens of Ellsworth are funding most dog recreational activity for the region, you know. Without doing a survey on it.
You know, you can't predict the future either, but I mean, you don't know what the future holds. Our school district might grow. We don't know. So, I mean, you gotta think about that too.
Right. Could very well grow.
Can you remind us other communities in the area that are our side, do they have a rec commission?
Boisington does, Claflin does, you know, everyone that's in our little travel league, they're all rec commissions. But some are different, like Russell, they're just funded through the city. They're not through the school district. So,
I think it's worth a shot. I'd be for it. I mean, let the people decide. I think it'd be a great deal, especially if you go to Boisington and look at their stuff. Wow, they got nice stuff. It'd be awesome if we could get some good on like that, because they got some good bullshit stuff.
Hopefully this stuff was tornado.
They got a tornado.
Yes, I agree. Spot.
Baseball. All in ball fields? In that tornado?
Yeah, I'll like that.
No, then we just- you can-
Tyler likes
Straightforward, yes, I think we need to try it, that's my opinion.
Jessica.
Or two, yes, well,
Okay,
as long as we have the appropriate information to educate citizens and owners, but I think that's what it always comes down to.
great,
I think it's a fair request.
yeah. And you know, you got other factors, we don't know when do you do it, blah, blah, blah. You dovetail with another election, I mean, these are the things we just don't, that piece of it, we don't. We'll have to learn that, so. Darcy, what do you think?
You should try it.
Wayne?
Oh, I think it's worth pursuing. It's only, of course, the only tweaking in my stomach is change and.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like, yes, if it did pass, there's gonna be a lot of change. I mean, just changing everything over to, I mean, we're our own umbrella, so there's gonna have to be, I've even mentioned to Katie about if she'd be willing to go full-time. I mean, you're gonna have to have a full-time office person to oversee payroll and things of that nature. So there's a lot of dynamics to it, that's for sure.
And your rec department loses overall umbrella of the city.
Right. Yeah, it's a little scary. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I think it future proofs. Maybe hard in the beginning, the election. I mean, everybody, it's gonna be hard. There's people really negative. You see some people organizing, might hurt your feelings and concocting weird stories. You know how it's always that way, right? And we just gotta be ready for that. And you just plow right through it and, try to take it across the line and win it. And, put it together. We've got a great superintendent and board members that, they're ready to go to persuade their folks and I like it. So does that give you the information you need, Dina, or?
I think what we would like to do next would be to contact the colleagues that run ours and have them attend the board meeting so that they can do the same presentation for our consider network.
Sound good, brother?
Yep, that's not a problem.
Here, Mayor, the motion is just. The exploration.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Ellsworth City Council authorizes the administration to explore the possibility of developing a rec commission in collaboration with USD 327 and other stakeholders.
Councilor Scritchfield has made a motion to explore the rec commission. Councilor Hanson has seconded that motion. Any discussion, debate, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We begin the exploration of the rec commission.
Thank you, Council.
You're welcome. All right, so the next item on the agenda, let's see it though.
All right, see ya.
Okay, see it. Look, these folks. Thanks for lighting this.
Yeah, would you?
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, people just file out. Oh, I hear four.
So bad.
Shower.
Right, eh?
Yeah, that's a nice one about that one. I take them all at once.
We come to the next part of our agenda, which is new business, so. We had a tough meeting a few days ago with Cowtown, that was probably rougher than what I'm gonna mention here today, but. Probably about 3 weeks ago, Cashco contacted the city. And informed us that they wanted to take out some water equipment. I'm gonna be very broad and general with this, okay? There was an old 30-year-old contamination event that happened at their site. They've been in compliance all these years. And they are at a point now where they've hired some consultants to come in. And we have water equipment that helps keep it clean, and they have water equipment, there's a backup, so on and so forth. So they felt like it was time to explore taking their equipment out. They hired some consultants. The consultants came up with a wide range of options of other things that they wanted. And they approached the city and they thought, hey, will you consider changing your ordinances to let us do this? And the simple answer was, we decided to go to the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, KDHE, for guidance. And the Kansas Department of Health and Environment quickly informed us that, hey, you are not to do this. All right, this is our jurisdiction. We will make the decision over when this occurs. All right, and so we got an email later in the week, probably Friday, saying, all right, we and our consultants have decided we will not be talking to the city anymore. We will now talk to the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. So just hold on, is that you? Yeah, so trying to be broad and general with the interaction. So we were not prepared. This happened maybe 3 weeks ago. And so it took us a while just to get all the information of what they were requesting. Melissa was there, Dustin was there, Joe was there. They were keeping me informed of the whole thing. We couldn't get to the council. This is the soonest we had the information all put together with some kind of coherent message over what was being requested, where they want to go from here. Could certainly understand the frustration that they've been in compliance for 30 years of dealing with this. But, you know, they hired these consultants and the consultants made these decisions and they approached us with it. And we just felt like it was best to go to the Kansas Department of Health and Environment and say, what should we do here? And we did. And they said, you were right to come to us. We are the people they need to be dealing with. So that's it at this point. I think that we should probably, with this issue, begin any kind of communications over this issue should be in writing. I don't think we should have any other meetings at this point. I think, wouldn't you agree that that would be probably to our best benefit?
Sure.
You know, we were in contact with Melissa. We talked about the Open Records Act. We talked about, you know, this type of information is not privy to executive session. So we could not grant anybody the request to keep this private. There was a concern. People couldn't handle the information. They'd freak out and panic. At this point, nothing changed the water smog. It's just that they have reached a point where they want to move this equipment out of there. And is there anything else I'm forgetting, Rod?
Not from a product perspective.
Okay, no. There are a lot of details here. And I think the reason I'm gonna be very broad and general today is to inform the council and to, you know, to kind of chart a course forward that will do everything now in public. There will be no more meetings. They will be done right here. If they would like to meet again, they can do it right here in front of the public. And we want a great relationship with Cashco. I think that this was, what's the word I'm looking for? See if I can say this right. It wasn't at the level we would like it to be in the future. We'd like the relationship to be strong and, this kind of caught us off. So I think that's probably the way to say it. And so we handled the best way we could and here, that's it. It's celebrated. And I'm proud of these guys. I think that we weren't prepared. I mean, these types of things are going to happen. We want to help them maintain their reputation. They're a great employer. They've been good to the city of Ellsworth. They've gotten in this bind. They've done their job. They've been fair. And I can understand the frustration, that they're ready to pivot and do something else. So they'll go to the state, they'll keep us informed. And this is the first that everybody's heard of this. So, we'll just go from here. Questions for Dustin or?
Well, I was gonna say, so Dustin did reach out to me and he reached out to other people in industry who have some knowledge of this and some background on this particular issue. Staff handled it the way they were supposed to. They contacted people. In the end, nothing's changing. Administration decided that nothing was gonna change. And I'm not really sure why it's on the agenda, why we had to talk about it, because Dustin's gonna come up with stuff every day where he's gonna decide nothing's gonna change. And he doesn't really need us really involved in, nothing changes here. So I don't think he's worth us taking time.
I think public safety is worth it.
Well, but it's in all of our water reports, our water conference reports every year. It's there. There's public information. Anybody who's lived here for any time at all.
There's the issue. Not everybody's lived here that long. They don't know.
But there's all kinds of stuff that people who live here don't know.
This got brought to our attention. How could we just not tell the public?
I don't feel like he told us anything though. Like that this was an issue in 93 and
Yeah.
like that's.
You know about it?
I was in grade school.
Right.
so.
Right, so we're probably gonna, I knew about the Chicken State Mobile Home.
Right.
Deal, and that's what started it.
Right, that's exactly
But it's been here for many times, so that's working.
right. There you go.
Because they've been tested for it. They're not changing anything, so let's move on.
There you go.
How about we do that?
Sounds good.
Meeting rolling.
Escaping.
I like it.
Let's get it.
All right, new business. introducing goatscaping service in the city of Ellsworth. Dustin, you want to go ahead and?
Yeah, I know I've sent off or just got a feel for it when I first started the idea. I still look from Panopolis. And I've gotten a pretty positive feedback and I got some who wanted to wait until Panopolis was done. But I got enough interest where I wanted to ask them to come present their product to us. I gave you a synopsis about Goatscaping, Kimberly Schneider and her partner Kate. Gave me a presentation in person, and I thought it'd be an innovative way, especially with our finances, to be a good way to clear stuff, support someone local and. If I may, Mayor, could I invite the Schneiders to come make the presentation?
Yeah.
So we started a goat grazing business a year and a half ago. And what we do is we actually have portable electric fence. So we go into an area, we weed where the fence is gonna go. We set up, bring in our own water and our own minerals to help offset whatever mineral deficiencies the goats are gonna have in an area. And then we keep our horse trailer there. We actually use our horse trailer as part of the fence. And they are free out of the trailer during the day. And in the evenings, when it starts to get dark, we actually bring them back into the trailer and lock the trailer. Right now, they're on a job, they've been there for 2.5 weeks. And when they got out of the trailer, check our Facebook page, you couldn't see the goats once they went into the brush. And tomorrow they leave that job site and it is literally down to the ground. What they prefer is goat to eat brush and weeds. So poison ivy is actually their favorite thing to eat. If you could put a kid in a candy store, that's putting goats in poison ivy. They love it. We also go behind them and we eat the large stems because that's usually what gets left. But as far as going into an area and cleaning it up, you can put a goat anywhere and they'll pretty much, as long as there's an electric fence around them, they will not touch those fences. They're super sensitive to electricity. There's areas, especially where you can't get equipment into, the goats are a nice change to get in there. And they usually, as long as we move them soon enough, they won't actually eat your grass. So like, especially like in an open field or something, they're gonna go eat the weeds. And unless you leave them in there after there's nothing else to eat, they're not going to eat your grass. So we've actually experimented in a couple of yards and they will go, they'll eat the shrubs, they'll eat the weeds. They clean up everything else and the last thing they're gonna eat is the grass. So it usually takes about 3 days of living in a yard. If you think of the size of an area of a yard, it's the third day that they're hungry enough to eat your grass. So it's kind of a nice change and nice balance to be able to bring them in and you don't have to worry about spraying if you have water run off and like that. The goats are gonna clean it up without having to worry about putting chemicals somewhere. So, if you have any questions?
Okay, Dustin, I'm pretty sure they did this years ago in the increasing park on the east side of where the detention basins are, and it was a great success then. I think poison ivy was a big problem they were trying to address up there.
Can they get down in the mud pit?
That's what I was gonna ask, can you take them down? It was the amount of the mud, so like if it's right after they've rained, we actually went and walked the park a couple weeks ago, right after it rained. The 2 days right after it rained, it was too wet for them to have gone in, but like if I was to go out and turn them loose today, they would go down there.
Really?
So as long as,
They eat that stuff that's growing down in there?
so right now the area they're in is hemlock and Johnson grass, and they actually will eat through that. We just have to offset that with minerals, so we have mineral traps that help offset that for them a little bit.
Like it.
Mr. Martin? Yeah. Do you have like some sort of a hiring term contract or something that you usually sign up for service? I'm just saying like something that says we have no responsibility for it. Like a job will come in with a contract that we won't hold you liable, you don't hold us liable. It's basically just kind of a blanket, keep everybody safe. And like I said, we do run electric fences and we keep the goats locked up. So if there's not somebody there to help keep track of where the goats are at, they're not gonna be out where somebody can just turn them loose.
You should have an issue signing a contract with the city.
Not at all.
And my second question is, are you insured?
We are, the goats are not insured for like as individual animals, but we have insurance too.
Liability? Okay, what's your amount?
I have to look, it's through USAA, but.
Ah, well, I like you already. Um,
Yeah, I mean, with our diminishing ability to use even the prison staff to do some of our trimming and it's usually the areas where I would target them at are places where it's not easy for a person to get in there and trim in the first place. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Melissa, do we have the legal authority to use this goat option for property mitigation?
Sure. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Because I would.
Weeds are.
I would caution
Yeah.
about using private.
Okay, wholesale. I just thought I'd ask.
Plenty of city property.
So we're gonna use Priester Park. Grizzly Park. Those two in particular.
If that's the desire of the board, I was envisioning Chrisick Park as one of them.
What did you write out?
Pretty sure there's not an issue, is there?
No, but there is other places like, you know, where you used them last time. Along by the golf course, there's certain areas that you can't get our mowers at. I would also propose some sections of the airport as a way to mitigate.
You know, because we got a Jerry the airport for responsible for going and maintaining, yes.
And I just had one of the airport people tell me they're worried because they're gonna have a fly in, and it looks awful.
And just so you know, Carrie is working for us part-time to help mitigate the lawn out there. And I think mixed with goats would be one slam dunk.
There we go. I like it.
Mr. Moves, we authorize administration to enact a program in collaboration with Katie Schneider and Nancy and of Nanny Scaping Company. Provide co-scaping services for a period of 60 days, provided that officer can see the contract anticipate.
Roger.
I'll second.
Counselor Scritchfield made a motion to approve the contract with the goat scaping services. Counselor Coates has seconded that motion. Any discussion? Debate? Concern? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go ahead and begin the goat scaping development. So pretty cool.
Can't wait.
It's a good idea. Yeah, that'd be nice. Next item, the approval of the CMB license, Elcan Western Rider Saddle Club, Inc. and the Elgin Volunteer Fire Department. Pretty simple. Yeah.
They're looking to wait.
The fire department is, so the rodeo is the Elkhorn Western Riders, and then the fire department is doing an event on August fifth, kind of in. Along with all the other things going on August fifth, they're doing their beer garden at Crucible Park again like they did last year. So. Same thing they did last year, just.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the serial malt beverage license for the Elkin Western Riders Auto Club and the Old Hall.
I'll second.
Counselor Hanson has made a motion, the Counselor Scritchfield second motion for the approval of the CNB license for the Elkhorn Western Rider Saddle Club. Incorporated in the Elgin Volunteer Fire Department. Any concerns, doubts? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, Raised Rustic Street closure request.
So this is our first request using the new form and because it's so close, the ordinance passing is so close to the event. They are requesting a temporary reprieve from insurance liability insurance requirement for this year.
Just here too.
Yep.
Let me stand up and down, but, so. Our event has kind of exploded a little bit more than I was anticipating on, which is a good thing. I've like researched, well, not really researched, but I looked into other options of where I could put, vendors, outside vendors from other small businesses from surrounding communities, much like we have had in Cowtown Days down on the plaza area with canopies and tents and, tables and such. Originally, I was thinking of lining the sidewalk in front of, if you're not familiar with business on East First Street. So on that side of the sidewalk and the next side, but I've gained so many vendors just from posts, that I'm going to need more space. And so our next option was the street closure request, from Douglas to the alley. I don't think I'll need the entire block, but to be able to utilize that area. When I went to request that and
gave me like the new ordinance. I was not anticipating that, and so I'm kind of on a time crunch to get the insurance kind of laid out. And so that's why I'm asking you guys to waive that for this year.
1%. So far about people.
So once this, once they have the insurance, we don't have to vote on everybody's, right? You guys are done.
No, this is just because.
Because of the, okay,
Yeah. The whole goal is so we can do more stuff administratively.
yeah. I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either. I think somebody needs to contact the bank though, because they'll be doing business that day as well, and it's right up against them, but.
Is that on Saturday?
It's on Saturday. I've actually, we've done this, the first Saturday of June and July as well. And we only utilize the sidewalk on like where Lions Federal Bank was, where, Farm Bureau is now. And I did ask permission from that business owner, and they're fine as long as it's not blocking their entrance. And I talked to Gloria Perez. She's the only one, really, it's only us two on that side of the street that would be open. And we worked out an agreement. Her biggest thing was that she does have some ladies in walkers. But most of the time they just pull up to the alley since the curb is just a little bit higher to get there, to be able to get in. So we talked about not blocking off her entrance, so.
So we will have those.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we waive the insurance, the liability insurance requirement for Olivia Stevens. Bridge president.
There's been a motion, and Darcy a second on the motion to waive the business insurance for Olivia Stevenson at Rage Rustic. Any concerns? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Moving on, the next part of our meeting. Department heads, golf course not here, representative street, is not here. Water and sewer not here, fire not here, police, chief, you have anything?
It's budget related, but I did reach out to 3 officers just so far as. We'll go arrange stuff, just so you can kind of think for our next meeting, they would be, if on that reason. Outside of that, I don't have anything else. The others hit the ground running, working a couple of our longer term bigger cases we've had, so. It went well.
Very good for me. Anything for chief? Yeah, real quick.
Yes, sir.
So August 1st, you ready to go?
Yep,
Got a plan?
yep,
I believe in you. I
okay,
think everything's gonna be perfect.
I think so.
I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. I don't think people are gonna be pro that. I don't, because
No, you-
at this point, Wilson's gonna lose school no matter what. Whether yes votes, whether no vote, they're not going to have.
Right.
And I think they've just come to that realization. There may be people there, but I don't think there's gonna be, I really don't feel like there's going to be trouble.
Good. That's good. All right, treasurer, not here. Bill inspector. He's.
He's working on the hat.
Yeah. City attorney,
I don't have anything.
city clerk. City administrator.
I'm all included in the report to council later. I've been working on the budget, so all these things. Nothing major.
All right, city council, Tyler.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah. Okay. Wait.
The only thing I know tonight, I wanna do executive session sometime when we have everybody here, and that's not tonight. But Dustin, one of the things you mentioned during the budget discussion, I want to caution you on that. The use of bonds should only be for special projects, or don't try and hide budget items in a bond issue. No, because that funding doesn't work out that, so that's the only thing.
Great, Darcy, gentlemen. Jessica, 4-H, go on.
Not 4-H, this is just my own personal beef. I've gotten just real straight up pissed off at that intersection at Quick Shop lately. Apparently nobody can see my little black car or hear it torn. Like people have pulled out in front of me and it's been happening ever since I could drive, you know, so. But like there was somebody out of town on Saturday and like they were just like right in the intersection and I'm just. Blasting my horn, which sounds like a toy car, I get it, I drive a Prius. But like. Have we ever explored like shutting one of those down, like this is a one-way street or just?
Very nightmare, I'm assuming from an engineer standpoint, I think.
Oh, God. Almost got hit one time leaving church when I was in high
Let's
school.
throw a roundabout in there. That'll make it all be good.
Not like Hayes, but something a little bit nicer.
But like somebody that has lived here forever and ever like pulled out in front of me one day and I'm like, are you kidding me? Just acted like she didn't see me and I'm like. I'm into you, I have right away. I won't, this is being recorded, I will not do that. Oh, Lord. Alan, don't put that in the paper.
It's any terroristic threat.
No.
Anymore. But now I turn on their finger, years.
I don't know how you decide that one.
No, I understand your concern, it's.
I was kidding about the
It's the
roundabout.
strangest thing I've ever seen, right? You know, the first to Eighth Street, but Ellsworth found a way to do that. You know, it's starting to be doing, dark to be done on our end, right? Like right now, we're kind of focused on the construction areas, we've got a lot of complaints, speeding and we're on the stop sign and all the increased traffic we've had there. It's the average, we put an officer there 24 hours a day or 23 hours a day, it should be pull one off if something happens.
To my little black car.
So we just need to know when you're coming through, let us know.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah,
And I wish. Yeah, it is just a nightmare of an intersection, cause I even been out myself before. I'm just gonna stop, just go. So,
Yeah, I try my best to just avoid it, like a black light, but.
I wonder if you just took that right in front of the quick shop out that triangle, so you had to make a left from Douglas. Did it used to be like that?
Oh, I don't know, I've only been here 7 years, that's so tough, and now burners have been here.
Yeah, because that's when you can get pounded if someone's coming north on Douglas. And they really do, they don't have to stop, they just come flying through, they're just alien, you know, so.
The problem I've had lately is people leaving the quick shop parking lot going to that.
Right, you know where to go, when if you come
Yeah.
out, if you're north of the sign, you really, it's not a defined, do I have a stop sign? Well, technically the law says you have to yield in private property, but they're like, I don't have the sign, so I go through and they.
Yeah, and Saturday it was somebody was at the stop sign. And then somebody was pulling out of the parking lot, so the butt end of his truck was hanging into the street, cause he would just. Deer in headlights, and I'm like, I have things to do.
Anything else, Jessica?
No, I'm just upset.
No, no, what,
There's a complaint.
There we
On the
go.
city west side.
Take a picture of your Prius, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, in light of that, I tortured Callie with the training today for that ticket system for the website, and launching tomorrow. And the department heads will learn about this. And,
Good, yeah.
when a customer or a constituent can go to the website. They can select a problem, and they can put the map, a dot of the map where the location occurred. They can send pictures of the complaint, and then depending on what their selection is, will determine which department head gets the email. And then, and then it'll have a date, I'll be able to see who it went to, and it'll have a timer on it. That we have to respond to it. We can select the timer depending on the issue.
Well, I like too, the fact that you're gonna be able to separate out which department's using this a lot, how much time you're spending, do we need to have much eventually, it's gonna give you some feedback,
Yeah,
you know,
and it also, it's kind of cool on the reports I generate, it'll have a map.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sorry, side note, but
But anyway, so Jessica, if you're done, my comments, then we can go ahead and adjourn. So has everybody met Amelia, the Polish textbook salesperson? Has she come to your home? No? So she's out and that was the peddler's license and I figured that out. So she's young, she's 17 from Poland selling some books, and she's going around town, and here, Abilene, all over, so you may meet her, she's around. Good meeting. We do get a lot of compliments when we disagree with each other, which is weird. People want to see that. They want to see people who are thinking and disagreeing without, being rude and all that stuff. So we're gonna do that from time to time. It's okay. My job is to be the last line of defense. I'm it. If I cave in at all and something bad happens, guess what? They're gonna look at me and say, why didn't you mention that to Emil? How many times I mentioned it? 3 times? That still isn't an excuse. If something happens, it's still on my watch, right? So I'm putting my trust in you, putting my trust in Darcy, and I fully believe. So if something does happen, it's on me because, I didn't take the extra step of having you sit down with myself or Dustin and hey, map it all out. That's on me, all right? So all this stuff. What I've learned to do is to kind of trust my gut a little bit more. And, Michael will tell you that library board functions really well. And it was nice. They were all participating and, contributing and it just was a good mixture. So sometimes you gotta go with your gut. And, when something feels wrong to me, I'm gonna say something. And this, from my gut, red flags are flying that certain things concern me with this, this cash code thing. So I think we handled it very well. And I think we'll be fine with it, but I will tell you this, and this is where I learned this, and this is important. 2020, when I sold Wilson's contract, it was Darcy that kind of swayed everybody to voting for that. I was excited, but something inside my stomach made me sick because I realized certain things of that contract were wrong. And I can't tell you how many nights I lay awake and go, had I not taken action, had I not said something, would all these events have taken place? I didn't react to my gut. There were certain things wrong. Chief, you remember all that. It was just constant. I didn't react. I waited. I was strategic. And that was just the wrong decision. So tonight I just said I need to try a different strategy. And that may be my own fault, is that I wait too long, too strategic. So if I do that from time to time, that's why. I'm going to trust myself a little bit more. And so the last 3 days are just red flags flying. And I hope it works out. I hope they do a great job of it. I think they will. So don't be afraid to speak up. The other thing I was going to tell you is if I'm not there, Wayne and Darcy, just make a decision. If a tornado hits and it's just you, make the decision, right? Don't just make it. You're the governing body, and we do that. And I will never question you at all. It's just, you have the authority to do that right there on the spot. And same for you, Dustin. So same for you, Callie. So you got to know that we've never talked about this stuff, but it's true. I think there's power. I will say this, I don't think that the day is going to come where we've made a big mistake yet. It will happen. So something's working here, and that's a good thing. So with that, I'll go ahead and close.
Good team.
We are, absolutely.
Good team.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Counselor Coast has made a motion to adjourn. Counselor Hanson has seconded the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right. Motion is approved. Okay.
You can take your friends home.
Yeah, oh my God, there's a no.
No, I don't think that. They, you're in the. Is there a movie?